is that dollar that you're making, are you making an impact for the
Mm.
better to all of those people that are involved with you making that dollar? Or are you being a slumlord and just trying to be greedy?
Your network is your net worth. Come listen to some of the most successful people I know share invaluable knowledge, stories, and advice in real estate, business, and beyond. This is Weiss Advice. Whether you want to take your business or personal life to the next level, look no further. Welcome back to another episode of Weiss Advice. I'm your host, as always, Yona Weiss, and I am really grateful to be here today with another awesome guest. We got the one and only, as far as I'm concerned, Joe Rinderknecht in the flesh, on Zoom at least. What's going on? How you doing, my friend?
Doing good, Yana. Excited to be here and have a fun conversation.
Great to have you. Definitely great to have you. You are the first person, I believe, on this show after 470 plus guests that is wearing a cowboy
Wow,
hat.
that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, plenty
Proud to
come
be the
with.
first. Proud
You're
to be
you're the
the first.
first. You're the cowboy syndicator, and it's amazing that you actually have a company called Cowboy Capital. So you got to go with the branding. I
Right.
love it. I love the fact that you're keeping it real. And for those of our listeners who may not know who you are, I'd love for you to give us a little bit of a background, how you got your start in real estate and what you're up to now.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll give a quick like 2 minute overview, right? Cowboy hat. I did grow up ranching. I'm it's funny, I go to some events and they'll say, "Are you all hat, no cattle?" And I grew up ranching, farming, breaking horses, the whole 9 yards, right? So I can still ride and rope with the best of them. So grew up in northern Utah on the ranch, and it taught me a lot of the standards and values that we have today in our company, Cowboy Capital. And the number one being, when you shake somebody's hand, that's your word, and your word is your bond. And a man doesn't really, man or woman, a person doesn't really have anything else,
Yeah.
other than their word. So, anyways, grew up ranching. My dad, he's actually the youngest of all of his siblings. He left the ranch right after like high school, got into construction and cabinet making, and the other thing that's cool about that is I'm also the oldest son, so the oldest grandson, the oldest nephew. And when I was growing up, I got to go and do a lot of construction with my
Hmm.
dad. So I've done everything from concrete to framing to finishing up the house. You can see the door behind me and all the trim work around the doors. Like I can do that really easily. So got a really good diverse background in the labor industry, right? Ranching and then construction. And then I actually drove semi as well from 2015 to 2018, which really wasn't that long ago. But my dad kind of always instilled in me and my siblings like the mindset of entrepreneurship. When we were growing up, we would flip cows, not like the literal like go tipping cows when they're asleep, but like we would buy calves, young age, and then feed them and sell them for a profit, right? And he had me read Rich Dad Poor Dad as probably like freshman in high school, and really just instilled that work ethic into us, and working for yourself. And while I was in high school, he helped me build a picnic table business where we built one of I still think it's the sturdiest picnic table out there, just how we built it. And the reason I know that too is we built like 2 or 3 dozen for a ranch locally here, and they still have those tables since. I mean, I graduated high school in '09, so they've had them since '06, '07. It's 20 years, right? Roughly, they've had these tables and they're still sitting out there weathering. So those are pretty good tables. But anyways, got my start doing all that. Then I was going to, I guess fast forward quite a ways. I went to college at Utah State University in Logan, Utah. Ended up getting my bachelor's in finance with a minor in entrepreneurship and real estate, and really started digging into the world of real estate I ended up having to, it was actually out of need more than anything. My wife and I bought a duplex that we house hacked, right? We lived in it for 5 years and we pretty much lived for free for 5 years, right? And that was really when we started getting the most exposure, is by doing it and getting into it, because we were able to do some work on the property, got a HELOC, use that money to go buy a fourplex that we bought subject to the mortgage that I held for 7 years. I bought it in 17 and sold it last year. And that's probably still been my best deal to date, honestly. On a fourplex, my partner and I netted about 700,000 between
Wow.
cash flow and sale proceeds, which is pretty good, right?
Yeah, I would say over that short period of time for sure.
Yeah. 100K a year. It's not too shabby. Yeah, you want me to keep going on
Yeah, no,
that?
it sounds, I mean, first of all, that's just some incredible stories I'm sure you have from, from the ranching, from the construction work, from the building, the company that in high school. I mean, that's probably was a lot of fun more than anything else at that time. And then, your first real estate deal, which turned out to be an amazing one in the end and throughout the process, which not everyone can say. I think a lot of people I've spoken with, and myself included, have had deals that have really, the first one was not the best one and was kind of went sour. But I guess that's is inspiring in a way because it probably pushed you to say, hey, if we can do this, we could probably do bigger stuff also, right?
Right. Oh yeah, that's very true. Yeah. Yeah, I got real interested in the bigger multifamily pretty quick. And it's interesting. I feel like I got pretty lucky because there's a lot of stories of people saying they started in like single family,
Mm-hmm.
did a ton of like single family wholesale, fix and flip, and then they got into small multifamily and then bigger. I've always just focused on multifamily. And, from like 2016 till about 2019, I did a handful of small multifamily, like duplex to like 10plex, fix and flip, and wholesales as well,
Mm-hmm.
right? There were less barriers to entry with multifamily. Everybody and their dog was going for single family. And so, you know, we were able to get some deals done with some small multis, which really helped. And in about 2019, if you remember, I was saying I drove semi
Right.
from 2015 to 2018. This is for like anybody who's getting started too. Like I drove semi from 2015 to 2018. There was like one summer where I was like only home for like 3 weeks for an entire summer, right? Because I was over the road and I was going to college full time and had a very young family at home,
Wow.
right? And still managed to do real estate. The hours on the road, I was able to really give myself an education, which was really nice. But then in 2019 or 2018, got out of driving semi, and I kind of stepped into what I like to call like my apprenticeship,
Mm-hmm.
time of my life, or the 3 years. So from like end of 2018 to 21, I had started building a residential property management company, but I quickly realized like there wasn't a lot that I could do to push income, lower expenses, or really
Right.
push value a lot on residential, like even small, duplex to fourplex. And I saw what a property manager could do on commercial. And so I actually reached out to a company because I was trying to buy a 44plex as my first one. And, I was like, hey, I want to learn this industry. I have zero property management experience except for my fourplex,
Right.
but I know that I want to learn this. Do you have anything local? And they said no. But then, like 2 weeks later, they came back and they're like, hey, are you serious? I'm like, I'm dead serious. Like, I want to learn this. And I don't even have to get paid that much, right? I just want to learn. And so they're like, hey, well, you asked for it. But they threw me into an 80 unit LIHTC property, right? Section 42 LIHTC, low income housing, for those of you who don't know what that means.
Mm-hmm.
And the property, there had not been a property manager there for 2 weeks. There was, delinquency was through the roof, vacancy was through the roof. And I didn't even know that there was like crime, drugs, and cockroaches in Logan, Utah until I went to that property. It's like I felt like I was living under a rock until I went there. I'm like, oh my gosh. And so I really like cut my teeth in the property management and really understanding what it took to stabilize a multifamily asset, going and doing and going through the fire, right? It was trial
Yeah,
by
you got
fire,
thrown
by
in.
fire,
You got thrown
and
into the fire. Yeah.
yeah, I asked for
But you
it
asked
though,
for it.
right?
Exactly. Right.
I
I mean, I
asked
guess it
for it.
shows you the power of asking for something, right? If you really want something and you don't even think it's
Yeah,
possible, just ask for it because you'll more chances than not you'll get it.
yep. What's the saying? You miss 100% of the chances you don't ask for, or 100% of the opportunities you don't ask for.
Yeah, I think they said in the name of Gretzky, Wayne Gretzky used to say, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right?
There you go. There you go.
And but it holds true with everything, you got to put your shot out there, shoot your shot, as they say.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that was a really good experience because it really showed me now like everything that a property manager has to do, right? They have so many different jobs from salesmen to collecting rents to dealing with maintenance and dealing with budgets. And if you're doing light tech, you have to deal with the government, which is horrible on top of that. And you have to do what's called recertification, which is all on paper, right? Which it's, I think you even have to do it today. So lots
Right.
of jobs. And we were able to, like, in 8 months, restabilize that property. And, our vacancy was like 5%, and our delinquency was down below like 10%. And the story I love to tell is that, there was one instance where I found out that our maintenance guy was dealing meth and doing meth in the maintenance shed. And so we worked with our local police force, or it's called the strike force, which is kind of their side. They're part of the police force, but they're kind of a secret group. But we went and did like a sting operation on my maintenance guy as he was in the middle of a meth deal. It's crazy. Super fun story to tell though, because we can get more nitty gritty. But anyways, I'll keep
That's
going
wild.
here.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
really get thrown in when especially dealing with low income housing, as you said. It depends, what type of property you want to invest in, but something like that, you got to watch out if you're looking into C or D class apartments or low income, section 48 or section 8 or whatever. It's you got to know what you're going into, which you didn't even know
right.
ahead of time, right? So it was like,
No, no idea. I was oblivious to what I was asking for.
uh,
But I
so
mean, it was the greatest thing though, right? Like, I'm so grateful for it now because now I can understand what property managers are going through and all the different jobs and what it takes to stabilize a property. And I mean, I've got more hands-on experience now from like the asset management side of things from, the last couple of years. But yeah,
So how did you know from that experience what kind of was the next step? Because, now just kind of to fast forward and then we'll rewind a bit, but now, you're
yeah,
doing syndications, large apartment complexes, doing a lot of deals, over 1,000 units under your belt, right? So how do you go from, managing a slum property of 88 units to now being the owner or co-owner of, thousands? So love to hear kind of where that transition led you.
yeah. I never planned on going into property management to be in property management or to ever be a property manager long term. My one and only goal was to learn, to get in, get out, go on to the next thing. Because I I have this problem, and I think a lot of the listeners listening to this will probably say the same thing, that we're unemployable. you know and so, like, if you looked at my resume, you'd see property management 8 months, and then this, 8 months and 6 months, and it's just like I always had a really hard time sticking in one spot. But it was always for the intention of, doing multifamily and being a sponsor and an operator. And I made sure I added a ton of value to everybody I worked for in the process. I wasn't there just gimme, gimme, gimme. I was adding a significant amount of value and a lot of my time. And I've always had, since the beginning, kind of that long-term vision of like who I wanted to become and what I wanted to do in multifamily. And building a vertically integrated company and, doing a lot more, impact investing. So building, like we're kind of working on that now with our communities, but really building, a community type feel within our apartment complexes, right? It's not just your home, it's like 200 other people's homes, and like how do you all work together? And so there's still a vision I'm still reaching for. But I mean, I'd say that like the vision part has really helped me get to, where I am now, where, to be specific, right? We are running and operating 419 units where we're the lead sponsor. And then I have a fund of funds where we're in about 600 units passively.
Gotcha.
So
And when you say
I
like
just want to
impact
put that
invest,
out there. I'm not operating 1,000 units yet.
okay. Well, I appreciate the clarity and the transparency over there because it's important. Some people put, just throw numbers out there, and it's great when you break it down and kind of show exactly what you're doing, that what you're running and what you're investing, co-investing in, and all those kind of things. But scaling is part of the game, and to at the short period of time that you've done it, I don't think that you've extremely scaled. I think I've seen other syndicators out there who have kind of gone too fast, too big, too quickly. Has come back to bite
Agreed.
bite them to a certain extent. But talk to me more about this impact investing that you mentioned. Kind of what exactly does that look like? What does that mean to you? And I know you also, we can get into this later. I don't know if it's tied in, but you run a nonprofit as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's directly tied to my nonprofit. Without getting into a lot of detail with my nonprofit, I was in a car accident 2013, lost my brother and grandma in that accident. And, I'm lucky to be here, right? And if it wasn't for friends, family, community, wouldn't be who I am or where I am today, wouldn't be on the path that I am today, because the people helped prop me up. They helped me move forward. They helped give me vision. And my brother, he was 20, I was 21, and he always went after what he wanted unapologetically. He didn't care what people thought. And so like I wasn't like that. I was a sheep. I followed. I did what everybody else told me to do. And like when he passed away, like that's where I really decided to go all in on my life and to like live for my brother as well. And so my nonprofit Tiny's Tribe is all about finding families in our local communities who've been in some kind of incident or accident that resulted in death or severe injury of somebody within their family. And we help them with kind of four main ways. One is capital, of course, and these are like the necessities of life. So financial needs, food, construction, where we'll go and like renovate people's houses sometimes or build ramps or whatever. And then the fourth, which I think is the most important, is mindset. Because, when you have things like this happen, a child passes away or a husband is, something happens, right? We're all safe and healthy that are listening to this, but like it changes your identity because your identity is wrapped up in that person where you are in that time period of your life. And so these incidents can completely throw you off that rocker. And we want to help people to be able to move forward, like I said, with the optimistic look on life and become somebody better than who they were prior. Like, and that's exactly what happened to me. I'm definitely a better person. And so like that's how we like to help with like the nonprofit. And I think how that plays into impact investing is in our business of multifamily, right? The tenants, so like you have two clients, you have your tenants
Right.
and you have your investors, right? If we just want to focus on your tenants, like you got to be able to this is how I don't understand like how slumlords like make it in the world of multifamily, because they're just there to make their buck and they don't really care about people's lives. And so I think that's where like impact investing is very important to me. It's like we really care about the experience that our tenants are having at our properties. We want to know what's good, what's not, how can we add more value to them? Is there things that we can do, other services that we can do to make life easy, right? And we want them to make it feel like their home, right? Like if you can get a tenant to feel like their unit is their home, your turnover goes down, your repairs and maintenance go down, your delinquency, your vacancy, like everything, right, is impacted for the better because they have so much pride and responsibility, maybe is a word. I don't think that's the right term I'm looking for, but they have a lot of buy-in to that
Right.
unit, into that community. And there's I think the company is called Ashland Green. They've been a really good example of this to me, where they have like programs for their tenants to help them build
Hmm.
their credit and help them, do tax planning. And I think impact investing can be a lot of different things. There's a really cool YouTube video on it that I'll have to find and send to you, Yona. But essentially, it's the broad concept of impact investing is, for every dollar that you make, it impacts multiple different people and different families,
Hmm.
right? Impacts your tenants and your property managers and your contractors, your service providers, your investors, down to your kids. And there's so many people that are impacted by that single dollar that you make. So is that dollar that you're making, are you making an impact for the
Mm.
better to all of those people that are involved with you making that dollar? Or are you being a slumlord and just trying to be greedy? So I think I really like the concept of impact investing and making money matter and having an abundance mindset and helping people. Like your tenants, they're still people, right?
Of
Heck,
course.
I've been a tenant, I've been a renter. I mean, I just bought a house this year, and I've been a renter for 4 or 5 years. So it's like I'm no different than anybody else, right? We're all people, we all need to care. Okay, I'll be done with my little rant there.
No, I think
But
it's important. And first of all, I love the story and it's told about your brother and your grandmother. Just that an event like that obviously shakes a person up, and I can't even imagine what that was like for you at that time. And but taking something like that, and even though it was many years later until you're able to establish something with a foundation, with a real meaningful cause that you've created this that is impacting a lot of people's lives through that, raising money and helping people in all their essential needs, essentially, right, is what that's doing. But tying it into how you're investing, and not just looking at it as a business and how to make money, but how to create communities and how to actually make a home for people they want to live. Yeah, of course you make money. If you're doing it right, you're making good money with real estate. But
as you should.
yeah, exactly. But don't overlook the fact that you have an opportunity as well to make a huge impact on people's lives by creating, a safe place for people to live, a place where people want to feel like it's their home, not just they're renting. And if you that will keep them there also, which turnover is the biggest expense when it comes to renting apartments, right? When you have tenant
Yeah.
turnover, so you want to make them feel good. It's actually better for business also, not just doing the good thing.
Right. Yep.
So what's your outlook going forward? I mean, you are you still full time in multifamily, or are there other kind of asset classes that you're exploring as well?
I mean, everything I'm doing right now is multifamily. We're very busy right now. We bought since September of 2024, we bought 4 deals equaling 419 units. We're under contract on 117 units right now. And so, three of the 4 deals we bought, we bought one end of June, and then another one in end of August, and another one end of September. And so we were under contract on 3 deals at once. And so right now I've kind of just got my head down, focusing on asset management and implementing the business plan. And my business partner is he's the deal junkie, so he's trying to get me to do more work, which is great. I'm appreciative that he can generate more business while I'm working on our existing portfolio and making sure it performs. So we're gonna keep growing, keep focusing on this at least for the next couple of years. I mean,
Awesome.
we plan on doing this for the next 10, 20 years, but like I think there's a really great buying opportunity in the next 10, 24 months, and we're just gonna really keep our heads down and just focus on that.
Awesome. That's good to hear. And it's great to have a partner that balances you out. And obviously,
Oh, for
each one of
sure.
you are good at and enjoy doing something different, which makes a great partnership. You can
Yeah.
flourish that way.
I'm definitely blessed to have my partner Levi Allen. Check him out if you haven't, but he's been doing multifamily now for about a decade as well. So we both had a lot of experience individually, and then just did our first deal together. That first one in September, and so yeah, he's definitely the deal junkie, the numbers guy. He deals with lenders and brokers and insurance, and I'm more of like the details guy. I really enjoy
Hmm.
the asset management, construction management, and we both enjoy capital raising. We're both really good at that as well. So the benefit is we can both do each other's jobs, but like I'm not a huge deal person. I don't love to do like go out and find new deals. I'd rather
Right?
just operate, which most people probably think that's funny or silly too.
No, listen, everyone
I
has
like
their
being
own. Yeah, listen, everyone has their own things that they enjoy doing, right? I love talking to people, right? I love, marketing and that kind of thing. Give me a spreadsheet, I will fall asleep probably within a couple of minutes or find a way to do something else, right? Everyone has their things that they enjoy, and that's the balance in life, and that's the great thing about partners. Have the right people do the right things.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, Joe, I want to transition now to what we call the final four. These are four questions I like to ask all my guests. First one is, what's the worst job that you ever had?
Man, the worst job. I mean, I would say living on the ranch, I had to shovel a lot of crap, a lot of poop, horse poop, cow poop, the whole 9 yards was, I think the worst job just has to revolve around shoveling shit.
I think that takes the cake, so to speak. I'm not going to find a worse job than that, probably in many ways. Second
Yep.
question is going to be, what's a book you've read that's given you a paradigm shift?
Yeah. It's called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. It's definitely not a real estate or a business. It's all about mindset and understanding how to use your unconscious side of your brain. You have a conscious and an unconscious. And the
Hmm.
unconscious, they call it like the crew and the captain. Like, so like being able to leverage, you know, the, see, is it the captain? I think it is. The unconscious is the cap. No, conscious is the captain, unconscious is the crew. And so like being able to maximize kind of that unconscious, subconscious brain, and go out because you can use it to go out to work for you. I think there's a lot of why like visionary people are so good at what they do. Like they can put a goal in the future, a vision in the future, and that subconscious just goes to work on it, and
Yeah.
it's always top of mind. So
Awesome. Yeah, I haven't read it yet. Definitely heard of it. It's been brought up on the show before, but we'll definitely put it in the show notes to make sure everyone
yeah.
can check that out as well. Awesome. Third question is, what's a skill or talent that you would like to learn?
I've got two of them. One, if I had a superpower, it'd be to have the gift of tongues. So I would love to learn lots of languages,
Hmm.
not even just a few, but like German, Italian, French. I know Spanish, very rudimentary, but yeah, Spanish and the kind of dialects of that. My brother knows Tagalog, so it'd be fun to learn that. I I want to be an intelligent slave. Just, I can't remember who I heard that from. It's
That's
just like I'm
interesting.
learning these languages, so if somebody takes over, I can be an intelligent slave.
Interesting.
But I just think that again, it goes back to people. Like it would be so cool to like talk to a Chinese person or a Russian person or a German person and just be able to speak that language. I
Yeah,
think that would be really amazing.
for sure. Very powerful. Very powerful thing. And what was the second one? Did I
Oh,
miss the?
oh, second one is I would like to become like a black belt in like taekwondo or, oh shoot, what's it called? There's a different word for it, like kickboxing, but it's Muay Thai.
Oh, Muay
I
Thai.
grew
Okay.
up, I've grown up doing taekwondo all my life, but it's always been in spurts here, spurts that I would like to just do it until I get my black belt. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah. Definitely takes a lot of discipline for sure.
Yes.
Well, with that being said, let's take on the fourth and final question, which is what does success mean to you?
Yeah, success means to me, I would say like first and foremost is my family, making sure that I spend ample time with my wife and my kids. I've got a very young family, and so I think like that's how I'm going to probably generate success the most is, the amount of time and memories that I can spend with my kids. And I think a second one to that is, I think a lot of people have goals to make a lot of money, which I agree, I do too. But it's based on who are you becoming in that process. You have to
Mm,
become somebody new every new level of, financial gain or who you want to become. And so I think success to me will look like if I'm on my deathbed and I look at that person that I could have become and we're the same person.
right.
I've heard that saying, like the epitome of hell is looking at yourself, looking at who you could have been and knowing that you are far, far below,
Yeah.
So want to continue striving to become that best version of myself.
Love that. Love that. That's beautiful. Well, Joe, it's truly been a pleasure hearing from you today and learning more about your story and what you're working on. Very powerful stuff. Where can our listeners find you or reach out to you if you want,
Yeah.
if they want?
So we got my website, cowboy-capital.us, or you can email me, joe@cowboy-capital.us. And then also on LinkedIn, a lot more now, thanks to you, and Instagram. So I've never really posted a lot on LinkedIn until I just did your 10-day challenge. And
Yeah.
the goal was just to do every day. I didn't get qualified every single day. I probably only got qualified 3 out of the 10 days, but I did it. So thank you
Very,
for that.
very cool. Well, I'm glad to be there as a resource. It's an amazing thing to do once you just kind of lock in and just do it. You just got to do it. Creates consistency, and you'll probably continue doing it now that you've done that. And grateful to you and everyone else who's participated in those challenges. A lot of fun. We do it a few times a year. So definitely be in touch. And yeah, we'll look forward to speaking to you more. And until next time, to our listeners, thank you for watching or listening all the way to the end. And until next time, the best advice comes only when you ask. Real quick, I have one question for you. Did you like this episode? If you did, I want to ask you a huge favor. See, the biggest thing that helps this podcast grow and that will spread this message to the whole world is that if you leave a review, a rating, and subscribe to the podcast. What that does is it basically tells the platforms that this podcast is out on is that you like my stuff and I'm doing something right. So take a few seconds out of your day, hit that subscribe button, leave a rating or review. I would be extremely grateful. Also, I want to hear from you guys. So I want to hear some feedback. If you have any questions for future episodes, please find me on LinkedIn. Send me a DM, a connection request, Yona Weiss, and I'd love to hear from you.